Hi everyone, welcome to Spoopy's Spooky Show, the podcast for all your spooky ooky needs. Today is episode 1, yay, clap clap. We're going to be talking about urban legends set in America, from the infamous Cropsey to lesser known legends such as Walking Sam, Char-man, and Hicks Rd Colony. So, since this is the first episode, I'll be giving kind of a quick little introduction. So what the podcast is going to be about is we're going to center around very spooky, scary, mysterious type topics that I just personally find extremely interesting, and we're going to be delving into the history behind them, all the lore, origins, all that stuff, how it all came to be, just all that stuff. And at the end of each topic, I'm going to be giving a rating. So out of 1 to 10 Spoopy boys, which is the logo, so I'm going to give it 1 out of 10 Spoopy boys for believability, scariness, and would I investigate there? Because I love investigating places, but if I'm gonna die, probably not. I'm probably not gonna go there. But I would still want to go. Anyway, so we'll find out, The different topics we're going to be going over is going to be different in each episode. So, example as today, we're going to be talking about urban legends set just solely in America. But in a later episode, we're going to be doing urban legends in, the rest of the world. Like some in Asia, some in Europe, India, all those places. And also, I'm going to be going over personal ghost stories as well in a later episode. Aliens, unsolved mysteries. Next episode is going to be haunted places set, again, solely in America. And then a later one, we're going to be doing places in Europe and then Asia, the rest of the countries. So, if you would find that to be, interesting at all, make sure to, follow the podcast. That would be extremely helpful. I know this is just episode 1, but I'm pretty hopeful. I think this is going to be a good time. I put a lot of research into these episodes, so I hope you enjoy. So let's get started. First, we're going to be talking about Cropsey. So, Cropsey, the original slasher, the original boogeyman. No one knows really where the name or the legend actually came from. But interesting fact is that the first actual mention of a Cropsey in America at all was in 1823 by Jasper Francis Cropsey. He was born on his father's farm, and which, funny enough, was in Staten Island, which is where Cropsey, the legend, and everything takes place. It's very interesting because I grew up around Brooklyn, New York. I don't live there now, but so I've been to Staten Island a few times, and I heard this legend actually growing up. But yeah, so Jasper Francis Cropsey was just a very famous landscape artist from the Hudson River School. So, who knows if anything, if he did anything sketchy or anything, I don't know, but he seems like a pretty normal guy. So probably not where, the actual origin came from, but very interesting fact that it's from the same place. And also, another fun fact about this guy, he died in 1900, and he was buried in Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, which I find really cool, because that's not in Staten Island. I've passed Sleepy Hollow, the town, quite a few times, but I've never actually been there. Because no reason to when I was a teen living there, should have gone investigating, but who knows. Anyway, moving on. So, that's that guy. Who knows? I don't think he has any relation, but weird that he was in Staten Island and he had that last name. Maybe his kid or something did something weird. Anyway, so these stories were always told around, campfires at Boy Scouts or at Jewish sleepaway camps, up and down the Hudson Valley. The story goes that he was a homicidal madman, and he was an escaped mental patient with a hook for a hand who hunted children, then dragged them back down to the tunnel system that was under the ruins of Seaview Hospital, which was a former sanitarium, which is extremely upsetting. But so parents used him to scare kids into staying near home, not to stray too far and to be really good, and because that's a great way to raise your child. Tell them that a guy with a hook for a hand is gonna drag them down into the tunnels of a sanitarium. Anyway, just not how I would do it, but different times. So, then the next, ever mention of him was actually the movie The Burning, which is by a person who is not to be named. But, his name was first used in a slasher film. That's when it, really took off, The Legend of Cropsey. But, so in this story, Cropsey was a disfigured caretaker who was burned in a prank gone wrong, and he took his revenge by killing camp counselors with garden shears. So a little different, kind of the same, just the original slasher type guy. And so, these legends were happening for years and years and years, and then reality became scarier than fiction when Andre Rand, who's a janitor at Willowbrook State School on Staten Island. So I want to mention the school first. So the school was an institution for children with mental disabilities, and it opened in 1970, and it was shut down in 1987, which it should have shut down a lot sooner, and I'll tell you why. So children there were subjected to sexual abuse just constantly, corporal punishment, and unsanitary conditions due to overcrowding. They were also part of the most unethical medical experiments on children in America. So what they would do is inject healthy children with hepatitis for research, and most to all of them became severely, severely ill. And the public wasn't aware of this at all, since most of the children were abandoned there due to, their mental disabilities, or, orphans, or just, found, and just had no parents. So, really, really sad. Just some really sad stuff. I hate any stories with children involved, by the way. I'm doing Cropsey because, I grew up with the legend and everything, and so it is, close to home in a way. But, God, anything with children just, God. Makes me want to throw up. So, anywho, but finally, a publicist named Geraldo Rivera in 1972 exposed the conditions at the school, and it closed 15 years later, which is insane that the government just let that happen. That is just so sick and so upsetting. It's rough. It's rough. But the good thing about it is that a lot of federal civil rights laws came from it. So it protects mentally disabled and institutionalized people, which is very nice. So they actually have rights, So thankfully that, that came out of it, and which didn't have to, get to that point. But no, it did. Anyway, back to Rand. So, Rand was first charged in 1969, a year before the state school opened. So that means that what I'm about to say, they let him in. It's just insane. So, in 1969, a year before the school opened, he was sent to jail for 16 months for attempted sexual assault against a 9-year-old girl. And they were like, oh, you were just in jail for 16 months? Here, come work as a janitor at our school institution, for children. Are you kidding me? Yeah, let's just let this actual pedophile in. I do not understand at all. Everyone was doing it there though, so I mean, I guess it was just like he fit in, like, ugh. Anywho. Also, in 1983, he kidnapped a bus full of children from the local YMCA and drove them to the airport, and then he went to jail. Like, what were you planning to do with a bus full of children at an airport? Were you gonna fly them all somewhere? Like, that's expensive, man. I don't know. But I couldn't find how long he went to jail for this. It's just he went to jail. So, I mean, he did kidnap a bus full of children, so good on authorities for actually putting him in jail, but obviously not long enough. So, and also he was linked to 4 other missing children, but not enough evidence was there to charge him for them. So, the missing children were Alice Perea, age 5. In 1972, she went missing. And I hope I'm saying these right. I'm really bad at pronouncing names. So, again, I apologize if I'm not saying these right. And I mean nothing but respect to these families, because this makes me horribly sad and depressed to talk about these things. But, you know, needs to be talked about. And Holly Ann Hughes, who was 7, she went missing in 1981, and she was spotted with Rand on the day of her disappearance. Then there was Tia Heese Jackson. Again, I really hope I'm saying this right. Who was 11, and she went missing in 1983. And then the last one was Hank Gaffario, who was 22. He was mentally disabled. He went missing in 1984, and he was last seen with Rand at a diner. So all just very sad. Very, very sad stuff. Very vulnerable children, and just like, ugh. But, and the saddest part is that no bodies have ever been found of these 4 victims, which again is just horribly, horribly depressing. Thankfully, Rand was arrested in 1988 for the disappearance of Jennifer Schwiger, who was 12, and she had Down syndrome. She was found a month after she was reported missing at the desolate school grounds in a shallow ditch. And the thing was that Rand was living there, and he was homeless, so he built like a little camp, you know, next to like this little campground next to the Seaview Hospital, which again was very closely tied to the Cropsey legends. But yeah, they found her body there, so he was charged, and he was sentenced to 25 years in prison for kidnapping her, but there wasn't enough evidence to actually say if he killed her or not, which is just absolutely insane. I mean, look at his track record. Like, come on, you can kind of piece things. You can piece things together. Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, he was eligible for parole in 2008, but thankfully, in 2004, new evidence showed he had a connection to the Holly Ann Hughes disappearance. And it was because a fellow inmate, God bless his soul, a fellow inmate took notes of talks with Rand that he had, where he described in detail about how he abducted her. So he was convicted a second time for kidnapping, another 25 years. So he'll be eligible for parole in 2037, which may seem like not that far away, but thankfully he'll be 93 years old. So, you know, a 5-year-old can probably kick him over, you know, and he'll be fine. Hopefully he just never gets out. Hopefully he just stays in there. Like, it's so insane. But, so that's the end of him, thankfully, of his story, which was super gross and disgusting. But if you do want to know, like, way more about it, there is a great documentary called Cropsey. It's on Netflix, I believe, by Joshua Zeman and Barbara Brancaccio. I'm so bad at names, I'm sorry. But they're from Staten Island, and they decided to make this really good documentary about it. Yeah, just the whole legend just makes me so sad, man. But I mean, he is like the original, you know, OG slasher guy. He's the one who, like, you know, inspired all the movies and stuff. I just wish it didn't have to come to light. I just wish it didn't have to come to life, you know, like it did. So I really hope, you know, those poor little children's bodies get found and, like, you know, they get the justice they deserve, because I hate doing true crime stuff. It makes me so upset, you know. But so yeah, I just, you know, that's probably the only true crime thing I'm gonna do for a while. I just wanted to get that in there, you know. It's a big one. But so I'm gonna rate it 1 out of 10 spooky boys. Or Spoopy boys. I don't know which one. Should I do spooky or spoopy boys? Because it is, you know, spooky show. Ba-bum. But, so for believability, I mean, obviously this is kind of difficult because it is like a true crime type one. But, urban legend wise, believability, yeah, I mean, 10 out of 10. I mean, it happened. Come on. It happened for years and years and years. Like, he became real. You can't really be like, oh, that's not believable. A guy's gonna come and kidnap children. It's like, oh, well, he did. He just didn't have a hook for a hand, but... Or garden shears, as the one director made it. Scariness, again, well, for me, I'm an adult, but... I mean, that's terrifying. If I was a kid, yeah, 10 out of 10. Now, probably like a 6 out of 10. Because I would like to think that I could beat this guy up, but I don't know. I'm not very strong, but who knows? I got a little fighter in me. Who knows? I really don't. I want to take self-defense classes. But and would I investigate there? Honestly, because I know he's in jail, you know? Like, if he was out, you know, probably not, you know. But yeah, I think I would. I mean, it's not really like any like ghost stuff I could find, but I would like to explore. I love exploring too, like creepy places and stuff. So honestly, probably 9 out of 10 I would go, you know, because it's a little like, ugh, you know. It's just like, you know, the girls, you don't know who's buried there. Like, I would just feel so uncomfortable. But yeah, actually, so yeah, like an 8 out of 10 spooky boys for that. Anyway, let's move on, because Cropsey just gets me going, grinds my gears, boils my blood type thing. Anywho, yeah, horrible human. I wish the legend never came to life, but it did. If you can hear that, that's me flipping my pages, because I'm very old school and I like to take notes with little pen and paper, even though it's the Micron pens, if any of you know that. The next thing we're going to talk about... Oh, I hit my mic. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is Hicks Rd Colony, which this one I'm excited to talk about because it's actually very close to where I currently live. It's like about an hour and a half drive, probably. I live in the Bay Area of California now. But, so this one is super interesting and creepy and whew, okay, get ready. So, the legend goes that located on Hicks Road in Santa Cruz Mountains in California, so there's allegedly a colony of violent individuals who attack anyone who try to get close. So what's a little different about this colony is that, again, allegedly, all the individuals have, they're all albino, which I'm not saying that, you know, people with albino are terrifying. It's just like, it just happens that these very crazy, violent people happen to all have, you know, albinism? They're all albino, which, again, not a scary thing in itself. It's just... it's genetically interesting why they all have it, you know? That's what I'm saying. but doesn't affect their behavioral traits. I just want to make that clear, like, not to offend anyone, because I myself find it, like, extremely beautiful. Anywho. so that's, like, very genetically interesting for it. And so this story has been around since, the 70s or earlier. So the legend goes that anyone who ventures onto the road will be chased off. They'll either run people off the roads with cars or with trucks, which, in itself is very scary. Okay, so I do have a little story that someone who visited Hicks Road told this one reporter. So apparently he went onto Hicks Road and him and his friend came across a dead deer on the road. So this is what he said. Without warning, Dan's car collided with something. A large dark figure is what blurred before Dan's eyes as he slammed on the brakes. When the car came to a rest, the headlights revealed a large buck sprawled across the street, clearly not moving. As all of the occupants of the car realized what happened, another dark figure appeared from the roadside, except this figure split into 3 separate entities, moving quickly into the road. The headlights now showed 3 humans with pasty white skin and bloodshot eyes. Working with haste, the 3 people dragged the bloodied buck down the hillside and out of sight. Oh, can you imagine? You hit a deer on the road and you're freaking out because it's night and you're like, oh no, what do I do? And then you see 3 people. It doesn't even matter that, they have pasty white skin and bloodshot eyes. It's more of just like, I'm sorry, you see 3 people just crawl out from the, hillside, out of the forest, because all the hillsides are just forest, and just drag the deer down the hillside. Like, wow, it's so gross. It's so gross to think about. So that's the dead deer story. So yeah, I've also heard, oh, never mind. That's the story for later. But they are also super, they're hyper aggressive. They've been spotted with weapons, even guns at times. But they've never actually killed anybody. They've always just threatened and chased them off. Like, they'll get in their car and try to run you off the road or, just chase you off. I don't think anybody's gotten actually hurt, but again, I'm not sure. You never know if these people just never came back, who went there. It's, so not a super crazy thing to think about. But here's another story from, another person. It doesn't say who, unfortunately, who encountered somebody who was armed, with a weapon. So this person said, "We pulled off into the first turnoff and the truck slammed on its brakes behind us. High beams still shining bright, and the driver opened his door and exited carrying a large object, which in our retelling of the story has been everything from a shotgun to a fishing pole." So, they're not exactly sure. I get it, it's terrifying to see anyone, like, get aggressive with you in a way. So, the screams from our vehicle could be heard from Quicksilver Park to Old Almaden. I don't know. I live here and I have no idea where that is. I'm guessing it's very far away. And we hit the gas and raced off of Hicks as quickly as possible. So, either, this, truck with these, people, individuals, they either threaten them with a shotgun or a fishing pole. I do get that, you can misstreat things, so it might have been a guy who was just looking for directions, to fish. But it seems like he was a little more aggressive, but so yeah, he pretty much chased him off with a shotgun, but who actually knows? So the thing is, people might think they're not actually even human, because the way that they're described is, so they're described as pale with red eyes. But that's not the weird thing. They have a terrifying scream that they just scream out into the darkness in the woods. So you'll usually most likely hear them before you even see them. But again, you know, it is California, so the screams could be coyotes or owls, which I do remember. I was, you know, in a wooded area once over here in California, and I thought I just heard someone screaming, and, you know, someone had to, like, tell me, like, no, chill, like, you know, it's like this barn owl thing, which, like, I've heard owls all my life, you know, like, I grew up, you know, in New York, like, I've heard owls, but, like, these owls are terrifying, man. Like, they scream. So it could be that, I'm not sure, you know. I haven't gone to Hicks Road, so who knows. But so there's a few things, so there's a few pieces of lore of where they might have actually came from. So some people think that it's just from the huge homeless population, because they have these huge encampments. There's this one encampment called the Jungle, and it had over 300 people at once, which is insane to think about. And I can concur with this. If, like, our little town that we live in now, it doesn't really have any homeless people, but, like, if you drive 10 minutes more towards the city, it's just covered, you know, in homeless people. They just set up literal camps, like they build, like, homes and everything in it. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it. So anyway, there's a huge population, but it doesn't really, you know, link to, you know, people with pale skin and red eyes and screaming. Well, screaming, yeah. I mean, I almost got attacked by a homeless person here, so I mean, yeah, fun. Maybe I'll talk about that one later. So another piece of lore is that another piece of lore, or like the origin, is that a Swedish community based at the entrance of Uvas Canyon Park. So, you know, they're all very fair-skinned and stuff, you know, very Scandinavian, you know, like bleach blonde hair, you know, white skin, all that. No red eyes that I know of, but who knows, maybe they just wear contacts or something. But they think that this community, there is a Swedish community there, so they think it might have, like, you know, split off and actually have gone into, like, you know, more so the mountains on Hicks Road. Another origin is that the United Technologies Corporation, which is located at Metcalf Road, it's a scientific research facility, and there's rumors of genetic mutation experiments, which it is very close by. So, you know, if there was some sketchy stuff going on, it is very possible that they somehow messed with people's genetic mutations. Like, I'm not sure. And they just released all of them, you know, and they just messed them up so bad that they're just, like, literal, just almost monsters in a sense. But who knows? Again, I haven't seen them. But another theory is that it's just a religious cult. The Holy City, which is located in the Santa Cruz Mountains as well, near where the rumors started, which is a whole nother thing, the Holy City, which I think is really, really, really funny, because I've passed through the Holy City so many times, and it's literally like one building and one church on a mountain that just some dude was like, hey, I'm gonna buy all this property and just name it the Holy City. And that's pretty much it. It's just one church. Like, I'm very close to, like, a family who literally lives, like, 5-6 minute drive from the church. That's why I've passed it so many times. And, like, you know, the person I know who's lived there all, you know, his life, he's like, yeah, that church freaked me out as a kid, but, like, it's nothing. I don't think it is. Anyway, I've never even seen people there, you know, but again, I haven't gone in the middle of the night, so who knows. But yeah, I don't think it's that one. Just gonna write that off right now, just because been there multiple times, and who knows, I could be completely wrong and Satan's thriving at that church, but who knows. But another theory is that so going off the whole like religious cult satanic stuff, is why people think that is because they usually only attack at night, which does help them gather like human sacrifices or keeps people away from their evil rituals type thing. And also what you can do, another piece of legend about this, is that if you go to the bridge on the road, it is cursed by the cult, so you can write a person's name down and you're pretty much calling upon the cult to help you with revenge. And so you write that person's name down and that person will meet their demise. So spooky ooky, right? They're allegedly cannibals, which, you know, it's very gross. Which I don't get this. So, okay, they're allegedly cannibals, but so they've been seen, you know, carrying off the dead deer and family pets as well, which is super upsetting. Because bones of dogs have been found in the area, like of multiple dogs, like a lot of dogs, like, you know, family dogs and stuff have been found in the area. Again, super, super sad. Which I don't get how they're cannibals that way. Isn't cannibals like you're trying to eat your own species type thing? So they're just kind of hunting is what I would come up with. But apparently they did try to bite humans, but maybe they're just really hungry, man. I don't know. They're living in the middle of the woods, eating dogs and stuff. I don't know. But again, all allegedly. Other people think that they're ghosts because of their appearance, the violence that they, you know, ensue, which ghosts can't drive cars that I'm aware of. So I am going to write that one off just because there are a lot of, you know, most of the stories have these individuals driving cars, like driving people off the road. So I don't think ghosts can do that necessarily, but who knows, maybe there's a new like breed of ghosts that I'm not aware of that have their driver's license. Also, do these people have their driver's license? That is interesting to think about. And also because of the screaming, that's why people think they're ghosts. But hey, people can scream too. Some people think that they're a dying race and they only exist on this road, and that maybe they're from another dimension. That's why they're super protective of the area. Maybe there's a portal. You know, maybe they're just trying to protect their own kind. Who knows? But that is the end of the Hicks Rd Colony. So pretty spooky, pretty spooky. So let's rank it. So, okay. Believability. Man, I would love to believe in this just because it is so odd. It's, yeah, I don't know. I think believability, honestly, so from the theories, ghosts, no. I don't think it's ghosts. They're driving cars. Come on, man. Ghosts can't do that. From another dimension, maybe aliens, honestly? I mean, the government just came out, the Canadian ex-minister of defense, I believe, just came out and was like, yo, there's 80 species of aliens we know of, and the ones that are living here pretty much look like humans. God, I forgot the exact name, but I am going to go over it on another episode, for like the aliens episode. So who knows? Maybe it's one of them. Maybe it's just an alien race that looks very human-like, but not quite, you know? So honestly, if it was that, believability, 9 out of 10. Believability, just that they're these weird individuals just who all are albino, like, yeah, 10 out of 10, I believe that. But it's very interesting that, yeah, they're all genetically albino. Like, that to me is, like, very, very interesting. Like, do they all have to be incest? Like, I don't know how that works scientifically. Like, that to me is just baffling and very interesting. If they're all homeless, honestly, I would say 10 out of 10, but since they all pretty much look, you know, the same, they all have the same characteristics, to me, them all being homeless, like, 4 out of 10, honestly. Like, yeah, they could all just be, you know, just homeless people, but I don't think they would all look alike, you know what I mean? So yeah, let's just go with believability. Let's just go, you know, off of the you know, just individuals with who are all albino. Let's just go with that. So yeah, believability, 10 out of 10. Scariness, I would say 8 out of 10, because that's very scary to just be attacked out of nowhere, but they've never killed anybody, so it's a little less scary. The screams, though, I am not about screaming in the woods. That is some Blair Witch type bullshit that I'm not about. I was gonna try not to swear on this podcast. Bull honky. I don't think bullshit's a swear. I don't know. Correct me on that, please. Would I go investigate there? No. I can deal with ghost stuff. I can go to abandoned places. Am I gonna go somewhere that mostly everyone who's gone there has been attacked or run off the road? No, I got a family. I'm not trying to test whatever those individuals are, you know? What if they're aliens? Like, no. I'm not about that. I'm not trying to be a human sacrifice or abducted. No. 1 out of 10. I would go to the road and be like, that's cool, and then go back. And again, not trying to test fate or destiny or whatever's out there. Not my thing. I'm trying to live, alright? Again, if it was ghosts, hell yeah, I would go. Not about some cannibals and stuff. They're gonna eat my dog. No thank you. Anyway, moving on. So up next we have Char-man of Ojai. So this is also in California, in Ventura County, and this story takes place on Creek Road near Camp Comfort County Park. And the interesting thing about this is that the park itself has multiple scary stories, such as a ghost bride in a bloody dress, a horsewoman, which just sounds really funny, but it's a woman on a horse. It's not like a whole centaur situation. And she reenacts her death every year of her getting thrown off the horse. So I guess if you're there right time and right place, you get to see a woman fall off a horse. The ghost woman. A horse woman, as they say. A headless motorcyclist, and a Native American shaman, and also a European vampire who was guarded by a phantom dog, and we will 100% talk about him in another episode, because I read about him and I was like, ooh, that is some interesting stuff right there. But then, so the place where Char-man, just sounds like I'm saying Charmander. Anyway, so Char-man, he is on the bridge just north of the park. And there's also 2 young children who walk along the rails in 19th century clothing. So it's a very high activity place for spirits and ghouls and such. So anyway, Char-man. So the bridge itself is nicknamed Char-man Bridge, and he is supposed to be a hideous, burnt beyond recognition spirit who attacks motorists. And legend says if you get out of your car on the bridge and yell, "Help me, help me," he'll come rushing out of the woods and attack you. Can you imagine? What if you actually get into a crash there and you open up your car and you crawl out and you're like, help me, and you just see a burnt dude just run out of the woods, like Get Out style, just running towards you like that, but like his skin is falling off because he's burnt and stuff. Like, oh, ugh, that sounds horrible. Anywho, apparently he has a wretched smell and he's covered in bandages and he has black, burnt, peeling skin. People don't know if he's a spirit, if he's a monster, but he is definitely not a man anymore. And he has 4 different origins. So large spectrum. But the first and the second theory occur in a fire in 1948. So the first story is a father and a son are caught in a fire. They are both horribly burned beyond recognition. Okay, so the father died, just due to the burned injuries, the father died, and then, so the father died, and, just during the, then the father died, just due to, being in a fire, and the son just went insane. So the dad died. The son proceeds to skin his father of all his burnt skin and then hang his dad's body from a nearby tree. Oh, like, why? I guess you just want to like save him in a way, like, take off all of the, the burned stuff to make him not burned. I don't understand that. That's just wild. But anyway, so before the authorities or the rescue workers arrive, the son escaped into the woods. And I also heard another ending to this theory, that after the son did that to his father, he proceeded to just lay on the floor because he looked dead. He's just so horribly burnt that like there's no way he could be alive still. So I heard another theory that when the authorities came, they saw the son and they're like, okay, the son died too, and then when they went to like go get the dad, from the tree or something, the son just ran off. like same thing, he escaped into the woods and was never seen again. But just imagine being like a rescue worker and being like, oh, this poor, man. I'm guessing it sounds like he had to. Char-man doesn't have an age, but I'm guessing he's probably like early 20s, possibly still living with his father, but big enough to like carry his father and hang him from a tree. Like, I'm guessing has to be somewhere there. So it's like, it's still sad to see a young man like that and then just going away to go get the other, tragic thing that just happened and deal with that and then come back and then the burnt body's just gone. Like, that would be so traumatizing. So that's the first story. So then the second story is that it was a husband and wife in the fire, and that is supposedly the same fire, 1948. And so apparently the wife was trapped in another room and she was yelling, "Help me," repeatedly, which some foreshadowing. But the husband couldn't move due to his injuries, so he just had to like listen, to her like just burning to death and agony and stuff and horrible stuff. And then he became Char-man. That's all it says. It doesn't say he escaped or anything. It just says, and then he became Char-man. Which doesn't really make sense, because if he couldn't move due to his injuries, but maybe like it was his ghost, or soul that became it. But I also want to note that according to the Ventura County Museum, there has been no reports of victims in the fire that happened in 1948. But you never know. I mean, it was the 40s. Yeah, like, I doubt they really kept track of stuff that well. I'm not sure. It was a while ago, so who knows? So the third story happens in the early 50s, so just, a little few years later than the first two theories. So yeah, the third theory happened early 50s, and it was a car accident that happened on the bridge. And the car lit on fire, and the man was horribly burned, and he ended up crawling out of his car and just escaped into the woods. So I don't know why you would do that if you're like horribly burned. Maybe like he was running away from something, and it just so happened, he got in an accident and got burned, and so he just ran off. Maybe he was, like a murderer or something, Maybe that's why he attacks people. So yeah, that origin story is very short and sweet, but it could explain why he does attack motorists and why he does just like, he's very violent. I mean, the first theory also works with that because he went insane, but still. So the fourth origin is by, this one's sad. This one just makes me really sad. So it was, so these police officers in the 60s, they believe that the legend started because an elderly man in the community who had severe skin cancer, his like face and arms were badly like disfigured and deformed and stuff, and so he was scared to be seen. So he would walk his dog, late at night when nobody was around, but sometimes, the local, like, youth, teens and stuff would see him and get, terrified and, make rumors about this burned man walking around, which I can attest because someone in my family did go through skin cancer and chemo, and it honestly does just look like your skin is peeling off. It's horrible. It's very, very, very horrible. And so I could see where that came from. Like, that's very, very likely to me, But, and also during that time, there was, a Char-man hoax, which they didn't really go into detail about what happened. But, like, these police officers were like, oh, this is probably why, why people think Char-man is real, because this poor elderly man who's just dying, is like, kids are scared of him and are making horrible rumors about him, which, if that's the case, it's really, really sad, and it makes me very sad. So also, they, this company, from, Ventura County, makes this hot sauce named Char-man's Revenge, which, if it's like one of the first three theories, like, yeah, go for it, like, ooh, spooky ghost story type thing. But if it's the fourth one, rude. That's just, that is some rude business you got going there, making money off of a cancer patient. Rude. But it's all theory, so I have no idea. So that's the end of Char-man. God, every single time I say that, I'm just like, Charmander. So yeah, we're gonna do the Spooky Boys rating. So I'm gonna be going off of just like not the cancer patient theory, because again, so sad. Just tragic. So we're gonna go off like the first few, just a man got in a fire and is haunting this place, and he's attacking people who scream help me on this road. We'll base it off of that. Believability, we're gonna give it 5 out of... Yeah, I'm gonna go 6 out of 10 for believability, just because it's probably a ghost, that's doing all of this. If anything, I don't believe that there's still a man from the 40s, he would be I'm not going to do math right now from the top of my head. I'm horrible at math. I'm not going to do that. It would just be embarrassing. So we're just going to go. He'd probably either be dead or just very old if he was 20 in the 40s. So we'll just say that. But, so yeah, believability. If he's a ghost, yeah, like, I'm going to just say 6 out of 10. Believability. Scariness. Frick that 10 out of 10, man. Are you kidding me? You scream, help me, and a man comes just straight from Get Out, but a burned guy running at you and attacks you. Not my cup of tea. Would I investigate there? Probably. Honestly, because, you know, for the area itself, they got some spooky ass business going on over there, you know? They got like 12 different legends. I would 9 out of 10. I would investigate there. You know, let's make that a solid 10 out of 10, because honestly, I don't believe that a burned guy's gonna come out and attack me. It's a very cool legend, but that would be wild. I mean, and I couldn't even find any like accounts for it, you know, of people actually going through that. It's just legend, you know. Maybe in the 40s or 50s if you did it, and then some dude would come out of the woods and just, you know, attack you, but who knows. But I would love to go to that area. I'm actually not sure how far it is from where I live. I'm actually going to check that. Let's see. Ventura. I can't wait. Let's do the exact name of it. Okay. So it is. Oh, you hear my paper? It's like ASMR. Anyway, so. Camp Comfort County Park. Let's see how far away it is. Oh, that is far. Okay, so it's actually near LA. I did not realize that. I didn't know where Ventura County was. So yeah, this place is a 5.5 hour drive for me. No thanks. Maybe if I go to LA one day, probably not, but you know. But yeah, apparently it's like on the coast, kind of near Santa Barbara. It's like the closest place. It's between Santa Barbara and like LA. Oh my god, that's such a populated area. I had no idea. Oh my god, there's a high school right there. Oh my god. Okay. I wanna go. But okay, last but not least. So honestly, I think this is like one of the more creepier ones. Like Char-man was freaky because it's like a burned guy, but this is like true like mwah, chef's kiss creepypasta type thing. So it is Walking Sam of Pine Ridge, South Dakota, on the Lakota Reservation near the Black Hills. So the story goes that, you know, at this, you know, Native American reservation, a lot of their teens and like, you know, some even younger, well, 12's the youngest, to, you know, just young adults and stuff are just committing suicide. And so they believe that there's a suicide spirit named Walking Sam or Tall Man. And so he is this 7-foot tall man who is lean. He has long arms, he has eyes, but no nose or mouth. He sometimes wears a stovepipe hat, which is, you know, those like really old London hats. So he's sometimes seen wearing those, but not all the time. And so, you know, he kind of has this like Slender Man look going for him, except he has eyes. So no thank you, I'll take no face rather than just eyes. That's me. You can express stuff with that. I don't need to see your creepy expressions. But also the terrifying thing about him is when he lifts his arms up, the souls of the Native Americans that took their lives hang from them. Like, oh, dude, like, if you weren't creepy enough, can you not, like, have soul wings? Like, I don't... Come on, man, you don't need those. Taking a sip of water here. So, apparently, he was sent to Earth as punishment and wants company. Which is rude to start killing children for that, but they are the most susceptible, you know, to creepy monsters telling them to kill themselves. Like, I don't know. So that's what he does. He just goes to young kids and young adults and just pretty much tells them that they're worthless, like they don't deserve to live. And even like in the areas in the forest, there was a group of nooses. No people, just open nooses just all over this forest that the local authorities had to just go and take all of these down. And apparently there was a group suicide planned, and that all those nooses were like invitations, which is just horrifying. But also the thing around why they think he's there is because Pine Ridge is just full of poverty, homelessness, crime, rape, murder, drug and alcohol abuse, child abuse. It's just a very rough place to live. And so they think that Walking Sam kind of feeds off of this, feeds off, like, you know, the bad conditions and all the abuse and all the, you know, crime and just sadness that's there. So another just terrible thing. So they believe he is running rampant, you know, there, because in 2015, which, you know, was, you know, 6 years ago, but still, like, there just hasn't been any news, thankfully, from this area since then that I could find. But in a 3-month time period, there was 103 suicide attempts, and sadly 9 people died. But, you know, 103 people tried, and a lot of them were in groups, you know, so it's very, very sad. And allegedly a local there said that during that time there was actually 241 attempts, not 103. Those were only the ones that, like, the police caught and reported on, not all of them, you know. So it's like double the amount actually happened, and that's in 3 months in this small town. It's just so you know, devastating for a town to take that loss. Mostly, like, you know, a smaller reservation like them, you know, it's a tighter community. So back to Walking Sam. So he, you know, he's been around for centuries. So his origins are, so they're associated with stick Indians. So what they are, so Native Americans call them stick Indians, and they are shadow people who whistle to you. And if you follow them, they paralyze you, hypnotize you, or just drive you insane. So they believe that Walking Sam is one of these, you know, entities, best way to describe it, and that he's one of the most powerful ones. But it's hard to actually say, like, do research on stick Indians, because tribes have such fear and respect for them, so they don't talk about them outside of the community. Like, they won't tell outsiders what these things actually are. Yeah, not much is known about them. But so yeah, that's all of it about Walking Sam, which is just so again, all of these have just been very sad, but very interesting too. Like, I mean, yeah, let's give him the spoopy boy rating. What should it be? Should it be spoopy or spooky? I don't know, man. So believability. Honestly, so my theory is that these teens and kids might have just not seen a future for themselves at the place they were living in. It's a really rough place to live, and they might have just been in groups like talking about it, like, how are we gonna get out of this? Like, some of them might have just been horribly abused and thought there was no other way, and it might have just kind of become, I don't want to say a trend, but like the blue whale thing, game thing that like teenagers were playing like a few years back, where it was like a suicide game, and it just like brought them down so much, like, over time. So I think it might have been something like that, because apparently there was a lot of YouTube videos circulating around of these kids from that, reservation, teaching people how to like tie nooses and stuff. It was like really dark stuff. So I think it might have been that. But who knows? I mean, Native American spirits are nothing to like mess with, like skinwalkers and stuff. I'm definitely gonna dive into skinwalkers eventually. But I was actually gonna do it on this one, and then I found Walking Sam, and I was like, oh, I actually haven't heard of this. Like, let me kind of do some research about it. So, but yeah, believability. Walking Sam as an actual entity, I think like 8 out of 10 Spoopy boys on that. Yeah. I again, Native American spirits, I do very much so believe that they are things, they're very scary things. And if they do just prey on very rough places to live, then I mean, I can believe it, do I think that he made 103 people kill themselves or try to in 3 months? I'm not so sure about that. I think that it's just, again, maybe became kind of a thing there, it just kind of became like a snowball, it just kept rolling and rolling until it got so big that there was groups of people wanting to do it, It's just one of those things. Scariness. I mean, he doesn't hurt you, like he tries to make you, I mean, I guess that's scary. Him himself, 10 out of 10, terrifying. Are you kidding me? Slender Man with eyes and then soul wings? Are you kidding me? No, 10 out of 10, terrifying. But his like powers, I guess, he just kind of belittles you, I guess, which, like, boy, I already got that taken care of, okay? You don't need to tell me. Like, I know, thank you. Like, so I don't know. But yeah, I'll give him a solid, like, 9.5 out of 10 then. The whole, like, him, like, not being able to, like, physically hurt you, I guess, maybe is, like, throwing me off. Or maybe he does, and it's just, like, not reported. I don't know. If he were to, like, come up to you and snap your neck, like, yeah, that'd be terrifying. But you can get out of it, it's not, like, a death sentence if you see him. It's just, he's a bully. he's just a mean boy, alright? He's just a tall, mean boy. But, would I investigate there? No. No, I don't wanna. Probably like I don't want to see him. What's there to investigate? I don't want to go there. I don't want to see him. I'm fine. I'm like, oh, he's not even that scary, even though I give him 9.5, but nah, man, like 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, something like that. Nah, I'm not going there. No, thank you. I don't need to see. It's the same thing with Slender Man. I ain't going to see Slender Man. I'm fine. I'm fine right where I am. Nothing to gain out of that. If you've ever played the Slender Man games, you can't even take a video. You're just gonna go blurry. It's pointless. I'm fine. I don't need to do that. But so I do want to kind of talk about all of the legends we talked about today really quick. So I want to kind of go over like what's my favorite one. So my favorite out of all of these is probably the Hicks Rd Colony, just because it is like super close by to me, and it's kind of the most like interesting, I would say, because like, you know, just genetically, like how does that happen? Like I want to know more about this, you know. All the others, it's like, well, Cropsey, it's like, you know, it's a super old legend, it's classic, you know, but it's like he turned real. You know, I don't like that. Legends should stay a legend. I'm not about people hurting children, you know, not about that, you know. People shouldn't be about that. But so even though that is very near and dear, you know, to my heart, the legend, since I did grow up, you know, near that area, well, spent my teenage years, you know, in Brooklyn. But yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, yeah, Hicks Rd Colony is by far my favorite. And like I said, would not go investigate there. That's how much like I you know, I can see it being a thing, mostly because it is like one of the only stories that has like real life accounts besides Walking Sam. But Walking Sam's kind of like a, I want to say like a hysteria type of thing, like, and I'm a believer of like everything, by the way, like aliens, ghosts, all that, demons. I've seen one, just saying. But yeah, I've just never like, yeah, it's just too many people, you know what I mean? I feel like that's the thing. In 3 months, that's a lot of people for one thing to affect, like constantly, and it only was for 3 months, you know what I mean? That's why I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I really like the legend and everything, but yeah, Hicks Rd Colony, definitely my fave. Char-man, great legend, but I swear to God, if it is just a sad cancer patient, that's what makes it not be like number one, because I think the legend's very interesting, you know. But the whole like, oh, police officers were like, yeah, it's just a sad old guy who's like dying, like that just throws it off for me, you know. I'm just like, oh, that's rough. But yeah, so probably in like a list, my favorites are like Hicks Rd Colony, Walking Sam, Char-man, and then Cropsey for being like favorite, you know, legend down. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What's your rating on these? How many Spoopy boys would you give everything? Anyway, that was the first episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed just hanging out and talking about spooky stuff with me. I hope I was, you know, somewhat informative and somewhat entertaining. You know, the episodes will get probably better along the way. I actually had to stop recording this one like halfway through and just kind of restart. So, it's my first time, like, I used to be a Twitch streamer, so I'm used to just talking to a screen and a microphone, but like usually I have people talking back, so it's hard to like come up with banter in a way. But, and you know, I would do this with another person, but you know, Corona, so no thank you. And the people in my house don't believe in any of this stuff, so it would be very annoying. So who knows, maybe one day it'll be a fun little thing, but I probably not for now. It'll just be me, little Spoopy. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will also be posting these episodes every first Monday of the month, and not the Monday after that, but the Monday after that, you know what I mean? So like two Mondays out of the month, the first one being the first, the second one being 2 weeks after. So, you know, every other week I'll be posting. So, but maybe I'll do more. I would like to do more. I would like to do once a week, but right now I don't have that much time for it. But hopefully, if this becomes, you know, fruitful, if I could say that, you know, hoping it will, because I love talking about this stuff, and it would just be great to be able to, you know, mix, you know, have a career with this stuff. Because at the moment I can't go out investigating, you know. 1, corona. 2, don't feel like bringing demons back into my humble abode at the moment. I'm quite comfortable, so. But, yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks. So, yeah. Have a good morning, noon, or night, wherever you are. And thank you so much for listening. Okay. Bye-bye. I don't know how to end this yet. Okay. Bye.